Okay, so you're probably wondering what I'm doing with all this cable. Essentially, I'm bonding cables so that I can have these SDI cables and an extension cord, or stinger as we call it in the business, into one cable. And so there'll be 4 of these SDI cables and 1 of these power cables that will be bonded into a group. Let me show you what that looks like. And it's kind of sloppy a little bit here, but once I clean it up and put the heads on it, you'll see the value in that. Instead of individually wrapping 5 cables, you'll have it all in one bundle, in one spool. And that's gonna essentially make wrapping 5 times faster. And that's per cable. And so we have 7 cameras for the D&D shoot, and each camera requires 2 cables plus power. So you do the math, it adds up really quick. So hopefully this will be eliminating some of the extra time that we spend wrapping and doing that kind of stuff and make it simplified. So this is my version of bonding cables together. On the far side here, we have our 2 spools, our power here and our SDI here. On the bottom of these is a circular wood piece I used for another project that I'm saving, and you'll see down below is a Lazy Susan. This piece actually has 2. I didn't have another piece of wood, so this one's just by itself. And so when it's balanced, it works pretty well. Let me rebalance this real quick. So these cables are able to spin pretty freely and give me slack. So then I pull that down. My tape measures here, so I'm gonna do this. So then we get to the end here, measure it up to the 1 and just flick it over out of the way. So yeah, we actually have 1, 2, 3, about 29-foot cables that I'm going to be creating with this. So this last 3 feet is going to be not shrink wrapped, and then the shrink wrap starts here. So this is about 23 feet of shrink wrap. So 3 on each end, which makes about 29 feet. So across here, you can see the shrink wrap's already laid out that I have cut. And yeah, we'll make a total of about 3 cables here. Same thing on the other side, where we have tape measure 3 feet on this side that will be not shrink wrapped. So the next step here is to get the cable through the shrink wrap. Now that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, because before I was using 3/4 inch shrink wrap, now I'm using 1 inch. It barely fit before with the 3/4 inch, and that was only at 10 feet. And I had to kind of work through it. It took me like 30 minutes to get it through that 10 feet. So hopefully the 3/4 inch will accommodate the extra space that we need to get the cable through. Originally I was using this commercial electric pull string. It's a metal steel, or it's a steel pull string that you can feed through and then pull the wire back. The main problem with that is it's only 15 feet, and this one is 29 feet. And so I went ahead and bought a longer spool, but that's probably not gonna get here from Amazon until a little later today. So I'm gonna try a string and blower trick and see if that works. So let's try it out. Okay guys, it worked. I'm really surprised. I'm super happy it did though. It makes sense that it did, but hey, check this out. So shot vac, we have a hose. I used some gaffer's tape to downstep it from a 2 inch to a 1 inch to a 1/2 inch, or is that 3/4? Who knows? Anyways, I took the shrink wrap, put a string, I tied a knot on the end of it. I put this on here, it pushed air through the shrink wrap and also pulled that cable. Because I had the knot on it, and it was able to suck it down all the way down through to the end here. There it is. We made it. Yeah. Another cool tip to do is make sure you tie that knot at the end. Make sure you tie that knot at the end as mentioned. Make sure you blow the air through first. That way it has a straight path and the least resistance to get through the shrink wrap. So I'm super excited. Let's see if we can get the wire through now. This is gonna be the harder part. What's up? Guess who just got here?
How's it going?
Good. Hey dude, check this out. So I was just explaining how this whole system works, but I'm on this step. I'll come back and I'll explain the rest to you. So here's the shrink wrap. I had it taped to this wire and I was pulling it through and it broke right at the last second. Any shorter, I would have had to redo it. So thanks, Rav, and your RV for not doing much. I'm just kidding. So the next step is to put the BNC heads on all of these. Thanks to Doug Johnson, his awesome video talking about it. Don't use old gaff tape because it will leave a residue and that stuff sucks. So now I gotta go through and goo gun this stuff and then put the heads on because it's nasty. Time lapse time. Here we are. We have a roll of 1,000 feet of this SDI cable. I have made a lazy Susan at the bottom here, and I'm basically setting out this long run 100 feet to build out this cable. Right now I have 2, and then I'm about to, oh, I have 3. I have 3 ran. I'm gonna cut this one and then run a 4th. This Klein tool, flat steel fishing tape is usually for electricity going through walls, but I've used that with a cat wrap that protects the cats from scratching up cables. This was a 100-foot spool, which goes way back as well. So basically that's going to coat and bond these 4 cables together. In the shorter runs that I did, I used a power cable as well throughout this run. But for this 100 feet, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to have 4 cables. I'm going to slowly, once I've laid out all 4 of these, I'm going to slowly start basically putting the cat wrap around the cable, and it should work well. So on each end, I've taped all 4 cables together. So basically going to walk this end down to the other side to this tip and tape those tips together. That way I can pull it through the cat line there. So let me show you what 100 feet of cat line looks like. This is going to be a little nuts. There you have it. This is the other side. So this is the wire here, and then it's kind of hard to see, but there's the other end of that line. So I'm going to basically bond these 2 together. That way I can push the cat cable around it as I go. So I'm actually going to push the SDI cables around my shed in the back here. That way it all stays together. Okay, so you practically need twice the distance of the cable you're trying to make. So if you're trying to make 100 feet, you need 200 feet of space to properly do this. Because I don't have a straight shot of 200 feet, straight shot of 200 feet, I'm having to kind of improvise and make this work. So let me show you the trick that I finally figured out how to do. So as this spool goes through here, basically you can kind of push the slack up. You see how it bunges up? So that basically pushes the slack up. But as you release it, it's going to push back in that direction too. So that's what this little clip is for. You push up the slack, you move up the clip, and then as you go, you basically just snake down the slack until you get far enough down where it covers your rope. So that's essentially the trick that I'm using to try to get this through. Okay, so the next step here. This was 1-inch cat tie, whatever rope tie. I'll have a link in the description. This is slightly bigger. I think it's 1 1/4 for this. That way it can fit over, and then it's shrink wrap. So as I heat it up, it's going to shrink down. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but I got my heater going. Sorry, the garage is chaos right now. I still have to organize some stuff. I had a cart here that I got rid of, and yeah, it's a mess. So there you have it, folks. That's what the shrink wrap looks like, and it looks pretty solid. Kind of hugs the cable, makes that transition there before it hits the cat stuff. So next thing to do is the tips, but before that, I'm gonna eat some breakfast. I just got done, as you probably saw on this other camera, going all the way down there, blowing off the sidewalk, because I'm making a custom BNC cable today. I have a spool here of 500 feet of BNC. I have an old reel, and I put a Lazy Susan on the bottom here, so this basically just spins out nice and easy. So I'm basically gonna uncoil this all the way down, fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. That way this 500 feet turns into 125 feet custom cable, and it'll have 4 cables in one. It'll have 4 SDI lines, which will go inside of this. This is a special like cat line that's supposed to protect your cables from cats. In my case, I've actually seen this used with cables to keep them in a bundle, and so that's what I've done before. I made these custom cables. Today we're making an extra one because of a wedding. So once I have it all laid out, I'm gonna take this spool and basically put all 4 cables, attach it to this end here, and then feed it through that, and then slowly shift it down. So it's gonna take a while, but you'll see a time lapse of it, and hopefully it'll be pretty cool. All right, the neighbors definitely think I'm a weirdo. So what I did is I spooled out this whole 500 feet run, and I didn't realize, I mean, 500 feet is long, yeah. And so I got out most of the way down. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go check, because I couldn't see if the spool was still unrolling, and it was. So yeah, I still have to finish that up. Yeah, so that's out there right now. I am setting up these 2 ends to match, at least roughly match here. And then what I'm gonna do next is straighten out these 2 rolls to be the halfway point. And then I'm gonna take that in and fold it back in half, and that will make our 4 in 1. So we cut this side. I'm gonna walk all the way down, make sure these cables are roughly in the same spot. We'll cut these other 2 ends, and we'll have our 4 straight runs here. And then we'll add the shielding, the outer barrier that keeps it all together. All right, let's check out this side. These almost laid well together. They're a little bit different. Let's just go ahead and kind of pull these out here. There's 1, and there's 2. I'll buy that. That's pretty darn close. Let's go ahead and cut that. Now, I will note, for cable making, you're supposed to have a special cutting tool to help keep the ends from crimping. These dikes, that's what they're called. Sorry if you get offended by that word. These dikes are what I'm using for today, because they get the job done, and I can basically just press the ends back together to keep it from getting distorted. And so far, I've cut all my cables with this, and it's worked fine. All right, next step. Let's get this laid out there and get some of the cable on there as well. All right, so what I'm gonna do is tape these 4 wires together on this end. Probably can do the same on the other end. I might run down there. Oops. Get away tape. I'm gonna tape all these ends here. I'm not gonna fuss with this wire. I think I remember now, I just pushed it straight through and that worked okay. So we're gonna try that. All right, I'm gonna do one more round and just push all these together like this as I walk down. I don't know how important this is, but you know, fun as well. All right, went inside, got the hot knife, made the cuts. You just gotta make sure it's warmed up. This stuff's actually kind of hard to cut, so a hot knife definitely helps. You'll get some frayed ends like this, and oh, I'm putting on my sunglasses. But you just gotta make sure all the ends get melted just a little bit, because it keeps it from spreading. So especially if they're melted together, it'll kind of help hold that bond. So let's put this last leg on and be done. Well, we got the bonding cat thing. I'm gonna call it snakeskin. I got the snakeskin over the 4 cables that I have here, so I can take off this tape at this point. Well, actually, I'm gonna wait until I get the shrink wrap on. So I'm gonna put a little piece of shrink wrap, probably 2 or 3 feet here, and then where these 2 snake skins meet further down the cable, I'm gonna go ahead and do that same thing there, put some shrink wrap on it, tie it all up, it won't be done. So I'm gonna do that in the garage because I need my heat gun and I don't wanna run power way out here. And I don't wanna run power all the way out here. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up out here and finish up inside. Okay, so I got the black shrink wrap on, and then I put a label, and then I put clear shrink wrap on. I was a little afraid of the sizing, but I am super pumped right now because this, well, at least this side looks amazing. I am super happy with how this turned out. Way better than I really anticipated, even though, like, you know, I thought through it, I thought it'd be cool. But this is super clean, super sexy for a cable. And I'm gonna go ahead and finish the other side and get to it. All right, so I'm going back over my old cables, and basically I'm going to add those same labels that I added to the 125-foot one. That way it's really simple and easy to see what's what. I'm also going to triple check the crimps. I'm pretty sure they're solid, but just so you know, yeah, these colored, each cable's colored red, yellow, blue, and green. And then the shorter ones have power. The ones that are 100 feet or longer, I didn't think it was necessary to run power because you might have local power instead. So yeah, I'm gonna run these out, figure out the links to them, and then put the proper labels on. All right, it is the afternoon now. We are working on some cables. So I've got power laid out here. We got the measuring tape. Basically, we're doing the same thing we've done with the BNC. We're adding little labels so we know how long each cable is. So it'll save us time and energy when setting those out. Here's my buddy Calvin doing some balancing prep work. All the work you gotta do to be ready for the shoot. Because it's not just about the shoot, it's about what you do beforehand to get it all ready. Here we are, new haircut. I'm gonna go ahead and put the labels on here, yellow on yellow. I'm gonna put some clear shrink wrap over, probably cut this down, and see if that works. See how clear this clear shrink wrap is after the melting. Okay, so here we are with the final look here. I mean, it's not perfect. You can kind of see some weird lines and stuff happening because of the bend. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I guess the thing I don't like is it's actually pretty thick. It makes the gauge of the wire much thicker, and it is actually good that it's a little harder to bend. So the fell point usually at a cable would be like right at the tip here. I bet you anything the fell point now is going to be right there. And so now the issue is going to be down there. So at the end of the day, do I want to keep this thicker look? I don't know. I'm going to sleep on it and try to see if I like that look for the cables. I could go without the under yellow part. So basically I would eliminate all of these and just keep the clear. I guess that would simplify stuff too. So this is just me thinking out loud and trying to figure out what I want to do to really make sure my cables are labeled well and organized so that it's easier for us when we get on set. And we can know that, you know, a 50 ohm cable is just for audio. Yellow will be for all my audio cables. So whether it's a 3-foot or in this case, the 150-foot cable, the ends will be, the ends will be the same with the yellow and the clear. So I don't know. My first instinct is to scrap this whole thing, even though I just spent a couple $100 on this shrink wrap. The colors may not be necessary for wiring with audio, but they could be helpful when I have a 4-in-1, when I had 4 cables in one and I can color code stuff. That could be helpful. So basically I can use this as a color coding tool instead of as a labeling tool, and then I could use the color tape like we did with the yellow tape to essentially determine which color is which. So stay tuned for that. I'll shoot another video tomorrow and kind of play with that to see which one I like better. But for now, I got one more thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and put a clear coat around a power cord because I have these power cords here. So maybe once I have that on there, this is actually going to be the 1.5 inch, I believe, because I don't think I'm going to be able to fit this 5/8 over this head. Yeah, so I'm going to try this 1.5 inch to see if I can get it shrunken down to the right size there. I also am curious to see if I can do it with the 3-inch. Ooh, it's going to be close. I'm going to try it though, because I would like to try to save this stuff. Just so you know, this is about $200 worth of shrink wrap on the table now. So if I'm able to do 3-inch slices instead of 6-inch slices, it's going to make it twice as much, right? It's going to last twice as long, and it's going to cost me about half as much. So the issue is I don't think that's going to shrink down. That 1/2 inch at the end of the day is going to be about this thick. This is 5/8. Oh, I already have it clear out. So this 5/8, even with the adhesive, I think is going to slide. So maybe for the power cords, I need to do a 4-to-1 instead of a 3-to-1 ratio. So this is all stuff I am figuring out on the go. And this easily fits over this power cord. I do have some 1-inch shrink wrap in black, and I do not believe that fit over the head very well. So, well, the last thing to do is to really just burn it, you know, see what it does when it shrinks up, see what it looks like, which it'll probably be, well, it could be actually a little smaller than this. So, yeah, let's see what it looks like when I burn it down. I didn't realize at the time that this only had one of the 2 labels on. I usually have them on both sides here. So this is what it looks like melted down. It's still kind of hot, and it's not very tight on there. So it's on there, but it's not very tight. I'm pressing on it, and the adhesive is actually going into it's adhering a little bit to the cable itself when I press it in with my fingers. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess if I want it to stay, I'll want to push it all around, and it's kind of hot. So I'm going to put on a pair of gloves here, or at least one glove, and try to push that into place a little bit more. That way the hope is it will stay. So for the other side, I will probably put another label on it of white. This glove is very dirty, so the heat and my hand is making that a little harder to read. I will point that out. It's not as clear as it was on the yellow, but this is kind of what it'll probably look like over time when it gets dirty. Another thing is, it would have been nice if I could put the head of this over the end of the cable here, because I think this is still a fail point on this cable, right in this area here, because there is a gap there, and so the flex will probably happen there before it happens anywhere else in the cable. But I am actually pretty happy with this, especially considering the thickness. It matches the cable a little bit better than this does, which makes this whole thing much thicker. So yeah, this actually is close to the size of this head here, so not bad. I'll take that. So let me go ahead and put another label on the other side. I'll just know that one of the cables that I have is missing one of the labels, but that is not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. And let's go ahead and finish them out. All right, well, I think the verdict is it works. It's not perfect. If I had to do it again, I would do 4-to-1, and hopefully those bubbles in the goo would basically solidify a little bit better and look more uniform. That's kind of what I noticed with the smaller shrink wrap, that when it actually got in there, and had a tighter fit, you don't see as many of those bubbles as you do in the ones that fit looser. So because there's bubbling in here, obviously it's not as neat, it's not as pretty, and that kind of bothers me. So this does look better, even though I would do it without the yellow. This does have some super strong rigidity to it, so that's not bending very much, if at all. And then again, the kink point, the weakness would be down here now in these cables. So I'm going to try to see if I can get a clear 4:1 and do the rest of the cable with that. It almost feels like that means this 1.25" or whatever it is not useful, but at the same time I can use this 1.25" over my bonded cables, so I can at least put it there or use it there, and then this clear stuff is going to be even more valuable, whereas these other colors I'm not going to use that often, just for the bonded cables. So yeah, that was my experiment. I guess I should have bought just a few pieces instead of so many pieces, thinking I could do it all at once. But I've already done that a bunch. I've had a bunch of different sizes from Amazon that I tried, and so I thought I figured it out this time. Apparently I didn't, but that's okay. Trial and error. You know, iteration. You're growing and learning as you go, and this is one of the ways I'm doing that. So, all right, thanks for watching this one. Hope you learned something interesting about shrink wrap and labeling cables. I definitely did, and hopefully you can save some money and not make the same mistakes I did, but hopefully come out with a superior product as well. The other question I guess I should mention at the end of this video, do I think that the adhesive is worth it versus the straight? Because most of the other shrink wrap I've had has not been with the adhesive. So to be honest, I don't know if I can answer that question yet. This looks solid, this does not, and it's the bubble, the issue. So it needs to be tight enough that it solidifies, it doesn't have that bubble. I also am curious to see if this 2-in-1, right, which is the liner, which is the shrink wrap and the adhesive on the inside, if that is stronger or more durable over time. So I'll give you a more solid answer at some point in the future. I've got to experiment and try to see what works. All right, that's it for this one. If you want to learn more, Hacking Hollywood is my channel. I am the owner of Corporate Streams, which is a live streaming specialty company. It has its own YouTube channel. So Hacking Hollywood is going to turn into my kind of like personal channel, personal brand, where I get to be myself, wear the V-neck, not have to wear the dress shirts all the time, and just show you the projects and things that I am working on a regular basis. The big one, which you may have already seen if I put the videos out, is the cart build. And so I made a Video Village cart from the ground up, and I am in broadcast streaming, right? Live streaming. And so I talk about the different gear and different things that I have with live streaming on a professional level, and not just at a professional level, but at an elite level. I try to create the highest quality productions as possible. Currently, our setup is 8 4K cameras with a 2ME 4K switcher, which is a 20 input switcher. And we're doing mostly corporate communication pieces, but we're looking to expand to do weddings. We actually shot a wedding yesterday, which is on our website. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, you're in the right channel, you're in the right spot here at Hacking Hollywood. And if you want to see more like professionally branded stuff, you'll check out Corporate Streams YouTube channel as well. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.